computer, posted on the live on Facebook. So whoever else benefits from the Torah could join in and do the daily Torah class with us. Today is continuing a very, very interesting story. Hold on. Okay. Hang on one second, my friends, as we just get set up over here. People could put on their screens for, oh, it didn't work. Go back. For some reason, let's try again one more time. I could just do it on my newsfeed today. Share to newsfeed, that's fine. Just do it there. Okay. 1 second.
Hello?
Yeah, 1 second, Shuki.
Here.
No. I don't know what it's telling me here. Daily class. Hi, Shuki, how are you? Okay. All right, here we go. Okay, my friends. So today, Chumash, today is Monday, so it is the second day of this week's Torah portion. We learned already Sundays. Let's move on as we're going to study now the very interesting story of what takes place with Yaakov and his brother Esav. So if you remember, we left at a very dramatic part in the Chumash, and it was talking about, I'm just going to mute everyone so there's no background noise. Unmute yourself when you want to ask a question. And Esav is coming at him, so he sends messengers, he sent angels to Yaakov, as Ira pointed out yesterday, that it's one of the times we see it, people sending angel as messengers to other people. And he sends them to Esav to find out what's going on, and he finds out the news that Esav's actually coming to kill him. He's coming with 400 men, and he really wants to do something bad to Yaakov. Verse 14, Vayolam Sham Balaylahu. So that night, Yaakov went to sleep over there. And I guess as he's going to sleep at night, he's getting his family ready. Remember, we learned yesterday that he split the camp and he's getting ready for war and he's praying. We learned the prayer yesterday. But also we learned yesterday that besides praying and besides getting ready for war by splitting the camp in two, he also is going to try and gift him out of his anger, give him a nice gift so that Esav will forgive him for what Esav was angry at him for. So he slept there that night. Vayikach, and he took min hababi yadai, from what he held in his hands. From we'll discuss what that means. He took from his possessions mincha le'esav achiv, to his brother Esav. So he's going to give his brother Esav a gift. What kind of gift is he going to give him? He's going to give him, the Torah says, from what's in his hands. So what does that mean, what's in his hands? So Rashi just helps us out understanding what the word means, giving from in your hands. So either Rashi says you can just understand it very simply, meaning whatever he had, right? Whatever was in his possession, whatever the guy had, you know, he has this, he's going to give this. He has a car, he has whatever he has, he's going to give him from what he has. The Medrash, Rashi brings a Medrash to say that when you say that someone's going to give you something that he has in his hands, what does a person have in their hands? They have gems, diamonds, precious stones, pearls. So he's going to give him a nice gift, you know, he's going to get from the jewelry store. And going to give him, as one of the guys in our group, they call it the wife insurance. You know, the jewelry store, he calls his jewelry store wife insurance. So here it's being brother insurance, so that he'll give him a gift, hopefully a very nice gem, a diamond, to get Esav to calm down. Third explanation Rashi brings, it means that he gave him what was his, what was in his hands, which means that he had already tithed it, because before you tithe something in halacha, like we're learning in our daily halacha class, it's called tevel. You're not allowed to benefit from the income or from the produce, from the items you have, until you've tithed it. So when he says he gave him what was in his hands, which means stuff he was allowed to already use because he already had tithed his income, and therefore he's able to give Esav already tithed stuff. Different ways of understanding what the Torah says when it means that he gave him what was in his hands. Verse 15. Izim Asayim. So what was the actual gift? Other stuff in the middle of a class. You don't give me the phone. Who? Give it to mommy. Okay. And here we're going to learn a very interesting Rashi. There's going to be a couple of fascinating Rashis on today's Chumash. But let's do the verse first. Izim Asayim, he gave his brother Esav 200 she-goats, female goats. Utiyashim Esrim, and together as a package deal with the 200 female goats, he also included 20 male goats. So 200 female for 20 male. Similar thing. Rechelim Asayim, also 200 ewes. I guess that's like the female kind of ram. And Ve'elim Esrim, and 20 rams. So again, he gives 200 for 20. 200 for 20, 200 she-goats for 200 he-goats, and then 200 ewes for 20 rams. Now, if you look at the next verse, we're going to skip Rashi for a minute. He also gave them camels that were nursing their babies. Uvinehem shleishim. And either you could read that, and their children nursing their children, and there were 30 camels, or you could say it means males. We'll talk about the Rashi in a minute. So basically he's the amount female for male, and this is important for the Rashi, is changing. He's giving here 30 he's giving 30 nursing camels. I'm sorry, let's just read this now with their young. Now, parais arbaim, he's going to give 40 cows. Uparim asara, with the male, with the bulls, only 10 bulls. So 40 female for 10 bulls. That's one male for every 4 females. And asoynes ace esrim, and 20 she-goats and 10 donkeys. I'm sorry, 20 she-donkeys and 10 male donkeys. So there are one male donkey for every 2 female donkeys. One bull for every 4 cows. And we have the proportion of the goats and the rams, it's 20 to 200. So Rashi says, why is Yaakov dividing up the numbers like that here? So he says, because that's how many males it requires to impregnate the females. You need to impregnate 200 she-goats, you need 20 male goats. And to impregnate the rams, 20 rams will take care of 200 ewes. However, the numbers change with other things as you go down. So here's what Rashi says. Rashi brings down a medrash, I believe of Gemara, the medrash here, that there's an obligation for how much when a man marries a woman, there's a commitment that the husband makes to the wife. And the husband makes a commitment to the wife that he'll take care of her. He'll take care of her clothes, right? You'll go to Macy's and you go to Century 21 and all the good stores, especially on Black Friday. You know, you're going to get whatever clothes is necessary. You also make sure to take care of your wife's food. You go to Wegmans and ShopRite or whatever it is that you go, Whole Foods if that's your level, Trader Joe's. You'll take care of your wife's food, clothing, and also there's a commitment the husband makes for intimacy, that he's going to give her intimacy, that he's not going to shun her and not going to kind of make her feel like control her in that sense. No, there's a commitment that the husband makes in these 3 things. We know we actually had that by Laban when Yaakov moved out. Laban told Yaakov, don't marry more wives because enough, how much could you can't fulfill the needs of your wives anymore. And therefore, the Torah has an obligation from a husband to a wife. So how much is halachically when you make that commitment, when you get married, what's the obligation? Very interesting Rashi that discusses this over here. He says it depends what the guy does for a living. If it's men of leisure, if it's people that they're not really working much, they don't have a lot of work they're not hard laborers, then their commitment is every day. As long as their wife wants, the husband has to fulfill. What about a donkey driver? Those are guys that what about laborers? People that have a hard taxing job. They build, they're physical laborers. They don't have so much strength. They don't have that much time and strength and energy. They have to do a minimum commitment of twice a week. What about a donkey driver? I guess these are like taxis, guys that travel far distances and so on. Their commitment is once a week. Camel drivers, that they take people on really long journeys, they're once in 30 days. And sailors that go on boats really far, once in 6 months. Less than that is grounds for divorce. The woman could perhaps seek a divorce for ksuba because the husband's not fulfilling his obligation. Where do we learn this out from? We learn this out from here, Rashi says, because we see that just like by the animals, depending on the kind of animal, he says that goats and rams, they don't work for a living, right? They're not working for a living, and therefore, only 20 males could take care of 200 females. However, other animals that you have an expectation of them, to the donkey, it has to go in the desert and travel far and things, so it's one male donkey for every 2 female donkeys. And for the camels that go even further, it's only 1 for 1. The Torah doesn't say it's the amount, because I guess it was 1 male for every female, because of their ability to impregnate the female animal. So we see that he specifically set up the right matchup between the male and the female animals. And we learn from that also we learn from here that the commitment of a husband to a wife also is not one standard flat commitment. Depending on what the husband's job is what's the minimum requirements of the husband. Continuing right along. The next verse, that was an interesting Rashi on the camel case. Everyone else, it said the male with the female. By the camels, it gets kind of like, doesn't speak so outright. It says camels with their babies. It doesn't say clearly the males, like it uses a funny word, uvneihem. And we learned from uvneihem that we don't need really their children. We mean actually, the Medrash says uboineihem, the ones who build them, meaning the husbands. Why does it speak so modest by the camel? And he says, interesting Rashi, he says that their mating is more discreet, that when the camels mate, it's not as in the open as the other animals, and therefore the Torah also, when it talks about this topic, it kind of mentions it in a hidden way. Anyway, continuing right along, very interesting Rashi, very interesting verse. So he's sending all these gifts. Remember, how many was it? 200 females for 20 of the rams, and the same thing for the goats. And then we have 30 camels, male, and 30 male, 30 female camels. 10 bulls and 40 cows, and 20 she donkeys and 10 donkeys. And this is the gift of animals that Yaakov is sending to his brother Esav. So verse 17, puts them in the hands of his servant. Eider levada. He puts each group of animals on their own, meaning each kind. Because remember, he's sending camels, he's sending donkeys, and rams and the different animals. So he puts each one in a separate group. And he tells his servants, go ahead of me, go about a day journey ahead of me, start this gift. I don't want it to come with me together. Travel about a little bit less, a day or less than a day ahead of me. And not just that. He says also, you have the different groups, make each herd also separate from each other. Because what's going to happen is, he'll see his gift in pieces. He'll get really excited. He'll see this big gift in pieces, and he's like, wow, this is amazing. I'm not just getting this, I'm also getting more. So split up the gift. Don't make it a one-shot gift. Makes a gift that keeps on surprising him. Verse 18, he commanded the first lamer saying, when Esav meets you, Achi Esav, my brother, meets you. So you're going to eventually, the guy's one day ahead of journey of Yaakov is going to meet his brother, which Elchi is going to ask you, he's going to say, who are you? Who do you belong to? Where are you coming from? Who are you a servant of? And so he's going to be and where are you going? Where are you heading? Who do you belong to? Which family are you part of? Who's your owner? Who's your master? So on. Where are you going? And who are all these animals? You're traveling with all these different animals with you. Who are they? Tell me who they belong to. So Esau's going to wonder who you are. And this is what I want you to tell my brother. Say to my brother Esav, it belongs to your servant Jacob. Mincha it's a gift. Shlucha, that's being sent la'adaini, Esav, to his master Esav. And not just is this a gift, but Yaakov is also coming up. He's one day behind us. You asked us who we are. We're servants of Yaakov. And this gift is a gift from your servant Yaakov, who's coming to give this gift to his master. Savas Gamasheni, and verse 20, tell that same thing to the next group, Gamashlishi, and the third group, Gamas everyone that's coming after the groups. To say this to Esav when you meet him. And you'll tell Esav that Yaakov is also behind us. And he's hoping, he says, A chapra fadav, hopefully this will, diminish his anger. He'll get over his upsetness. God willing, he's hoping that this gift will be an appeasement gift. With this big gift that's going in front of him, and then you'll see him, and maybe you'll find favor, in your eyes. Maybe you'll calm down. By the time you get to him, he's hoping that you will already forgive him. That's the way he's dealing, right? That's one of the three ways he's dealing with Esav coming to kill him. And the gift went ahead of Yaakov, and he went to sleep that night in the camp. They went to sleep and they're getting ready for the action. We know what's going to happen the next day. Now Yaakov himself, it says, was in a bad mood, because why did he have to do this? What did he do? He rightfully, I guess, owned the blessings. Esav traded for him, and look to the extent that he has to go in order to appease Esav. Why is this fear? And he's also not happy about it. But something interesting, a very interesting story, we're going to get off on the subject for a minute, that takes place that night, that morning, or that night. Vayakam balaylahu, he gets up during the night. Vayikach hashtei noshav, he takes his two wives, hashtei shevchaisav, and his two maidservants, v'sechad asher yiladav, and his 11 sons, the whole family. V'yaver esmaver yabok, and he crosses over the Jabok, the ford of the Jabok, the river. Rashi says it was the name of a river. He goes over the river. Now, Rashi says he's like him, like a bridge. He started to, when you ever unpacked your car from a trip or packing it, you run back and forth between the house. Here he's going back and forth over the river, carrying all the family, the wives and the kids and everything else, making sure everybody gets across the river safely. And all his possessions, remember, everything that he needed. And Rashi asks an interesting question. They're identifying a very fascinating Rashi here, right? Who's here with me? I don't see any faces over here. I need to see faces over here, so I'm talking to people. Ira's here. Who else is here? Shuki, you moved away? Okay. Continuing right along. So he he crosses everyone the river, and if you look at the Torah, he says that he had 4 wives, 2 maidservants, and he has 11 sons. But we forgot somebody. Who did we forget? Who could tell me who we forgot? We're missing somebody in the family. There's somebody that's left out. Who knows who was left out? Who remembers from the earlier Chumash? Somebody help me out here.
Dina.
Very good. Excellent, Ira. Perfect.
Says it right there.
Oh, okay, good. Do you remember they had a daughter that was Dina? Where was Dina? Why wasn't she being taken along with the family? Where was she? And this is a fascinating Rashi here. Very interesting Rashi. Very, very interesting Rashi. But Rashi says he doesn't name Dina because, remember, he's doing the same thing that Avram did and the same thing that Yitzchak did. He stuck Dina in a box, and he locked her in the box, put her in the trunk, in the compartment luggage. He stuck her in the luggage. Why? So Rashi says, why did Esav do that? Because he was scared. He was scared that, why did Yaakov do that? Because he was scared Esav would like Dina, right? And which father wants their daughter marrying this guy? So in order that Esav shouldn't get any ideas, we know Esav wanted to marry Leah, and then we said Esav wanted to marry Rachel. All Yaakov needs is now that this guy wants to marry Dina. So he puts Leah in the box, and that's why Leah is not mentioned in the list of people. Very interesting. But Rashi says, even more interesting, that it actually was a wrong thing, which is a difficult, challenging topic perhaps to discuss here. Why was it wrong, right? If you were the father, you'd want to hide your daughter too from this guy. But it was wrong. I believe it says, Rashi says, had Esav married Dina, she might have changed him. She might have made Esav into a good man. So it was wrong of Yaakov to hide Dina from his brother, from her uncle, from his brother Esav. Because of this, a fascinating story is going to happen. Dina will end up getting seduced and raped by Shechem. There's going to be a story we're going to learn later on. See, every punishment fits the crime. So exactly what was done wrong with Dina, the Yaakov hit her, he got to end up getting in trouble that she actually ended up getting raped. Seduced later on, as we're going to see the Chumash later on. Fascinating story Rashi brings over here. Verse 24. So he takes them, he moves everybody over the river, and he brings everything over, all the stuff. He went back, as Rashi says, he forgot a few of the little stuff, some of the things that he forgot. When he originally brought the luggage over, he forgot I don't know what he forgot, his cell phone or whatever, but it seems like it wasn't so important. It was like little things. And Yaakov went back alone after he moved his whole family to one side. He goes back to pick up the last few items. Yaakov was left alone. He was all alone. And a man wrestles with him until it gets light out. A big wrestling match takes place between Yaakov and a man. The Torah doesn't tell us who it is. Rashi says that there was a real wrestling match. It got, some people read it like they got dirty. They made each other dirty. We got sandy. They were kicking up sand everywhere. Rashi says he understands it to mean they were hugging each other. It was a really tight boxing match where they were really, squeezing each other. And no one could knock the other one down. Each one tried to squeeze each other, knock the other one down. And Rashi is going to tell us here soon that who was this? Who was this man? This man was Esav's Sarish al Esav, Rashi tells us. It was Esav's guardian angel. So Esav had a guardian angel. Maybe every person has a guardian angel. But Yaakov, we know, has been seeing and dealing with angels. And Yaakov wrestles with Esav's guardian angel. So the angel saw that he couldn't overcome Yaakov. Yaakov was too powerful. And I guess we even know. Remember, Yaakov removed the physically strong we know he was. He lifted up the rock from the well. Right? Remember? So that when the sheep couldn't drink, and he gave them all to drink. So what does the angel do? He pushed his socket on his hip, socket on the hip, and Yaakov's hip became dislocated in this wrestling match that's taking place. By Yomer, and by the way, this is why I think why we don't eat the sciatic nerve. This is why in kosher, besides the animal needing to be a kosher animal, and besides we'll take questions in a minute if anyone has questions. Besides the animal needing to be kosher, and besides needing to be slaughtered, even if you have a kosher animal that's slaughtered, you're not allowed to eat the sciatic nerve. That's why filet mignon is the problem in some kosher restaurants, exactly where is allowed and not allowed. Anyway, so he says, the angel says to Jacob, send me up. The mornings are rising. All angels have to go pray, do their morning services that angels do. And he says, I'm not going to send you unless you bless me. I want a blessing from you. Now, why is Yaakov asking this guy who's wrestling with him for a blessing? Who does that, right? The guy comes, he wrestles with you. Esav actually hates you. So Rashi says it was very specific because Esav was denying that Yaakov deserved the blessings. Remember, we learned in the past. Because he denied it, he says, no, I want you to admit it now. You admit that I deserve the blessing. Shuki, you missed a good piece of chumash over here. So the angel says, well, what's your name? Yaakov, he says, my name is Jacob, Yaakov. So he says, I'm changing your name. Your name is not Yaakov anymore. That's it, I'm changing your name. Yisrael, your name is Yisrael. Like God himself will bless you, and I'm going to agree to it. I'm changing your name from Jacob to Israel, from Yaakov to Yisrael. Kisarisa, why? Kisarisa Melekim, because the word Yisrael has the Hebrew word Sar. Sar means a captain, a leader, a royalty. Kisarisa Melekim, you won over your royalty by God. V'imanashim, and you won over men, v'tuchal, and you prevailed. You have commanding power with an angel of God and with men. That's the meaning of the verse. And so, and now Yaakov, if you remember, Esav used that name to point out negative in Yaakov. Yaakov means trickery. Ikveni zepamayim. Remember, we learned that a couple while ago. So here's Esav's own angel admitting your name is not trickery anymore, which means Yaakov. Your name is Yisrael, which is leadership and strength and dignity. Vayisha Yaakov. So Yaakov says, Vayemer, and he says to the angel, Gidini Shemecha, tell me what your name is. Who are you? I'm not sure why Yaakov wants to know. But Vayoim, when you call up the phone company, you want to know, tell me your name so I could quote you later on, whatever. I want to make sure the blessings are good. I'm not sure why he asks it. The angel says, why are you asking me my name? As Rashi says, angels don't have names. Their name changed. They do have names, but it depends on the mission. If God sends me to do this, that becomes my name. He sends me to do something else, that becomes my name. And therefore, don't ask me my name. I don't have a specific name. And the angel blessed him over there. And that's the end of today's very fascinating chumash that we have in today's class. Any questions or comments on what we learned today? Ira, yes? Yeah.
I thought the part with the where you can't eat the meat from the thigh bone had something to do with lightning or something.
Lightning?
Yeah, I know it had to do with a nerve or something. Maybe I
No, this
misunderstood.
was it.
Like
This is the
someone,
reason why, because he
I understand.
yeah, we don't eat the sciatic nerve because of the story. This is the story where it comes from, that that we don't eat the Gid Hanasha. I believe this is why.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. So when you go to a restaurant and they ask you, you want the right, you go to a restaurant and you want to eat something there at the restaurant, they'll serve you. So my grandfather, actually, my grandmother told me this. I never spoke to my grandfather. He passed away when I was pretty young. He worked in a Satmar, he was a butcher, but he worked in a, she told me the name, or my mother told me, I think, I have it written down somewhere, that he worked in some kind of a butcher. He knew, he had a tradition exactly how to remove, because basically there's a lot of, I guess, nerves, a lot of nerves in that area of the animal, and not everything is included in the prohibition. And it's a very, filet mignon, we know, it's a very good piece of meat. So what they do today, I think they just cut off that whole thing and throw it out. But people had a tradition how to remove some of those pieces that was still kosher and not touch the non-kosher stuff. He actually knew how to do that. And he would remove it. I believe it was in a Satmar butcher shop somewhere. And he would do somewhere, I don't know for Satmar, it was a Williamsburg. And he knew how to remove exactly those nerves or something like that. And he knew how to get rid of that. But of course, the Gid Hanasha itself, you can't eat, but the things around it is allowed. It's a very interesting thing we learned from today's Chumash, from today's class. Yeah, so it comes from here. This is where the story's from. Any other questions or comments before we go on to Tanya today? Who's here with us? Eyal Atakan, you're here, Eyal?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, you could see us. We just can't see you.
Yes, I can.
Yehuda, you here?
So you want a question?
Yeah, go ahead, sure.
Why Yaakov tell his servant or the sheep herders to tell Esav that he's his servant? That Ani Avdecha.
Correct. So I think I spoke yesterday. I believe I saw in the about a year ago, a little less than a year ago, about a half a year ago, we gave a class on a very interesting class. We talked by the Rebbe on faith and trust in Hashem. It was a very interesting class. It was connected to here. The simple reason that Yaakov is saying is trying to get, in other words, a blessing from Yitzchak to Yaakov was that that Esav will be Yaakov's servant, right? That Yaakov will be in charge. And I guess Yaakov is trying to really, almost in a sense, I don't want to say put himself down, but say, look, I'm calling you the master. I'm being the servant, right? I think that's the simple meaning. What's very interesting is that I saw the commentaries, and when I was looking at it, is that some of the commentaries learned that it wasn't a good thing. That it was actually not a good thing. Yaakov should never have lowered himself down to this level of telling Esav, Ani Avdecha. Right? I believe, I didn't look it up today, but about a while ago, I was giving a class on a similar topic, and this came up as an interesting topic. But why? Yeah, you wanted to share something?
No, it's just surprising knowing that Yaakov knows that he is. Actually, I think I heard something about it.
Yeah.
I think that the blessing that Esav got, that he's going to be mighty with the sword, that he's going to be very strong,
right,
and he's going to be a warrior in essence.
Okay.
And Jacob is trying to hint to him that the blessing from Isaac didn't come to fruition yet, so don't think you're going to come and win a war against me, because I am still a servant. I don't have a lot of, I don't control any nation.
Eyal, it's breaking up. I think it's breaking up, Eyal. Eyal, it's breaking up. Sorry. Is it Ira? Is it breaking up by you too? Clearly, or it's just
the Father gave them. The blessings are not yet coming into fruition. So because he told Jacob, you're gonna be above your brother, and then you're gonna be a big nation, and a lot of nations will come out of you. And nothing like that yet happened. So he's trying to hint to him, the prophecy is not yet came. Don't try to go into a war. Being a warrior is not, or a mighty warrior is not yet here. So if you come against me in a war, I might win this war. So
I didn't hear that. Very interesting, Eyal. I didn't hear that, but thank you for sharing that. Very interesting. It's an interesting thing. If you find it, definitely, if you could share it with me.
Yeah, I'll see where I can find it. I'll send it to you.
Okay, great. I think what's breaking up a little bit. I think I'm going to end the class here today. God willing, tomorrow we'll be able to learn the Tanya. Thank you all for joining me. I hope to see you. Sorry to move the time on you guys today, but God willing, we'll see everybody tomorrow at 12 o'clock. All right. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for joining me. Hey, Warren, can you hear us, Warren? I see Warren joined us for the first time.
Anything tonight, Rabbi?
Want to welcome you, Warren, to the class. I'm not sure. You'll have to wait and see, Avi. We'll send it a text if there is a class tonight by Rabbi Chazana, maybe. All right, be in touch with me. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Shuki, Eyal, Yehuda, Warren, Evan, Avi, Ira. Have a great day.
Don't forget to donate. I'm going to put
Don't
up
forget to donate.
Don't forget to donate.
Yes, help us reach higher than our goal. Thank you so much. Have a great day.